You have to understand that, and I not only look old, I am old. I am 70 years old, and
You're just starting, man. You got
well,
at least
I know.
another 40 at
Yeah,
least.
but you will get there soon.
I will.
So what
I
I'm
will.
saying is,
I don't know
is
about
that,
soon, but yeah.
what I'm saying is that people needs to plan for that
Yes.
because it's the reality of life. Is what will happen.
Of course.
And unfortunately, many generations did not plan for that. So it's a very important service for the community because it's very much needed.
Absolutely. Hello and welcome to another episode of Freedom Builders Podcast. My name is Yuri Gomez with Queen Homes, and today we're going to talk about senior living and assisted living. And for that, I have the pleasure to have somebody that is very special to us. He's our planner and developer. He's the one that basically approves our clients that have 100 acres, 20 acres, and they want to do developments. Has an amazing track record and experience. His name is Rafael. Rafael, good afternoon. How are you?
Doing good, my friend. Doing good. Keeping busy.
Amazing. I like the jacket, man. That's
Thank
beautiful.
you.
Really
Thank
nice.
you.
Really nice. You did it just for us, right? Just for the
Yeah,
podcast, of
definitely.
course. Of course. So the reason why we want to talk about senior living and assisted living is because I'm sure that you guys know that we recently launched a co-living model, which is a 4-bedroom, 4-bath. And now we're getting so many calls of clients that already have, actually some of them doctors, that already have assisted living facilities, and they're telling us, hey, this is exactly what we need on a single family home, but there is requirements. So Rafael, I know that besides your construction experience, you also have certain licenses. Tell us a little bit about those licenses that obviously gave you the opportunity to be able to consult people that want to do this type of properties.
Okay, first of all, before I did real estate,
Uh-huh.
I studied public health. That's my degree.
Uh-huh.
So I got my bachelor's degree in public health, and I manage hospitals through a company that I established in the 80s.
When was this? This is your previous life?
Yeah, in Puerto Rico.
Okay.
Back on the 80s. And I ended up selling that company to a local company here in Orlando. That's what I moved and ended up living in Orlando, Florida. So my background is health to start with.
Okay.
Now, the reason why you are seeing the growth that you are seeing has nothing to do with the interest or the market or how profitable it is. It has to do with the aging of the population. The population in the U.S. is 21% right now over 65 years of age.
And I bet in Florida a lot higher.
Yes, in Florida and Arizona and some other states that have higher elder population, the numbers are a lot larger than that. But the main reason why there is so much interest in senior living and assisted living is because of the aging of the population. There is a significant amount of millions of people that are going to be needing that kind of service within the next 10 years that we don't have the facilities at this point in time. So one of the things that I tell people when they come to me to get a project approved and so on is be sure that you know exactly what you are doing so it's productive and usable for the next 10 to 15 years. And that those are some of the things that we're going to be talking about today. There are two main differences between the two products that we were going to be talking today that is important for people to understand. The first one is that senior living, which is the way it's called, it's nothing else than a property that you rent to a person that is over 55 years of age.
So it's
Not 65, 55.
55. So it's basically a rental with age restrictions.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So on that level of service or business, not service, you are basically renting a age bracket limited property to a person that is self-sufficient, that do not needs to have any kind of service attached
Medical
to the,
attention.
correct, medical attention, nursing attention, uh, medication or pharmaceutical review of what they are doing and taking,
Yep.
what they call intake, or services like, for example, IVs or other things that are usually provided to be done at home in some cases. So you need to think about senior housing as a segment of the market that basically take care of providing a form of construction that is suitable and effective for an elderly people.
Yes.
Obviously, you never do senior housing with stairways. You don't, to get better use of the property, you don't do 2 stories or 3 stories.
Unless you have elevators.
Correct, unless you have elevators. At this level, 4 or less units, you can do on 1 story, and then you need to fulfill all of the requirements that are typical to ADA. The bathroom has to have a 5-foot radius. Typically, I suggest that those bathrooms are higher than the 5-foot radius. Typically, I recommend to be somewhere between the 80 and 90 square foot for the bathrooms. That way you give a comfortable area movement, so if the person is on a wheelchair, they can still be independent in that respect. So
What about the shower, for example?
the shower will be a will-in shower, so there
Will-in
will be
shower.
no, and then you can have, there is plenty of devices, ADA devices, so the person can pull himself up or move to the chair, the shower chair or whatever. So, and again, there is a lot of information available, and there is plenty of resources to be able to delineate what a effective senior housing unit is. Things that people don't take in consideration at the beginning, but they should, is lighting. The reason for lighting is that at that age, when you are living alone, psychological profile is very important.
Yep.
So you want people to be able to open the windows and see fresh light coming in, see green outside, because that will help them be less prone to depression or loneliness, etc., etc. So again, there is a lot of things that can be, and I usually do a presentation of about 6 hours.
Oh, wow.
On how to design.
This is not going to be 6 hours, by the way.
But to tell you the amount of things that are there, it's incredible. The amount of stuff that you need to have in mind when you look at a project or design a project to do senior housing. Now, once we move from senior housing, which do not require, by the way, any licenses. You don't need to be certified. You don't need to be licensed to do senior housing.
It's a regular rental, basically.
It's a regular rental basis.
But with the characteristics that the property needs and the age restriction.
Yeah.
Before you move into the other one, it's amazing that you bring that as far as the human side of the senior population. I actually have my mom. By the way, when my dad passed away, they had their own house. After that, obviously because of the memory, she didn't want to stay there anymore. So we sold the house, and then we set her up on this amazing, and this truly amazing. Obviously, we're talking about a huge apartment building, brand new, designed for senior living. So, and it's amazing because for her, it changed her life from staying alone in her house, where now she actually has a lot of friends.
It's part of a community.
As part of a community. They're in the pool every day. They have movie night. They have breakfast every morning. And that's amazing to see. So it's not only just of building, and obviously I'm sure investors want to get into something like this, but it's also that quality of life.
Yeah.
And my mother-in-law, Yanira's mom, it's also in that same place. My mom loved it so much that my mother-in-law is also there. My mother-in-law, I think, is transitioning now more into assisted living now. It's a little bit older than my mom. But I can see why, when we launch this product, we had so many people. We had nurses, actually. We had doctors that say, hey, I want to do this as a senior living. So we would love to, and we're in the process with Rafael's help. We call him Rafi, by the way. So if I say Rafi, that's what we call him. But to design kind of like a sovereign foreign steroids. If I could say, basically, with that bigger bathroom, maybe more lighting, like you say, everywhere. So that would be something amazing to design that you could obviously help us with on that. So basically, again, just to put it all in context, senior living is basically would be a rental, which could be a single family home. That it's basically the premise is that it's restricted on age, but does not provide any services of medication
And
or nursing.
deed restricted on age.
Is deed restricted on age?
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that. So if
Yeah.
I build a home in a single family home in a community where there's no HOA and there's no deed restrictions of the HOA, what do you mean by that deed restricted age?
What makes a property senior housing different than any other kind of regular housing is that deed restriction.
Okay.
Because it's the only way that you can keep every person that comes to rent on the property 55 and over. If not, you will be basically violating the law by not allowing somebody that is qualified economically to come to a property because it's not age restricted.
Okay.
So
And where do you put that deed restriction on a new construction single family?
on the deed of the property.
On the deed of the property, you have to make a deed restricted.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be the community that has to be, because there's also
It's
deed
the
restricted
property.
is the property.
Correct.
You can put a deed restricted for that. So we need to do a little bit of homework on the title.
Correct.
When we are putting that property or titling that property, I guess.
Yeah.
When we submit for permits, I guess we need to ask for that deed restriction.
Yeah, because in essence, what happens is that if you don't have a deed restriction, then
It looks like you're discriminating
you are discriminating against somebody because of age.
because of age,
And people always think,
which you cannot do.
correct. And,
Yes.
and typically people think, oh, they discriminate because they are old. No, they discriminate because they are young, because they are not allowed to be on a house that is 55 or over. So it's important that people understand that they have to have that deed component to make it specific to that use of the property.
So, and what is a problem? Like I've seen senior housing on old properties, right? By old, I mean used properties, right? Where I'm a builder, so I'm always thinking new construction, but inside a regular community, a regular not deeded community, and then they have senior living there. Did they have to go back and change the deed on that property that was already used for a regular family before?
Yeah, that there is a very interesting, or couple of very interesting cases that have happened here in Orlando. There is a subdivision in Seminole County from back on the
Not the villages, right?
No, Seminole County.
Seminole, yeah, not lake.
The subdivision is called Toscahuila.
Oh, of course we know.
Very well
I
known.
used to live there.
Very well known subdivision
Yes,
in
of
Seminole
course.
County. Mid high end, big lots, etc., etc.
Very old too.
Yeah, it
Right.
was built on the late 70s,
That-
early 80s.
Yes.
So what happened there is that right now in Toscahuila there is, last time I checked, there were 4 or 5 ALFs within houses in Toscahuila. And at some point in time, the association brought into the county concerns about that. And they were not able to do anything because of the way the ALF law, or the assisted living facilities law, works. You can basically put an ALF on any subdivision as long as there are no specific these restrictions that will not allow that to happen.
But that was with an HOA, correct?
With an HOA. Yes.
Would you say ideally to build this property it should be outside an HOA?
Ideally should be outside of an HOA, unless the HOA, like for example, another good example is Hunters Creek. Last time I checked on Hunters Creek for a project, Hunters Creek allow certain issues on their deeds that will prevent ALF to be established there with certain restrictions. So there is one that I know that is operating right now on Hunters Creek, or it was operating until a few months ago. That was the last time that I saw it. But you have to be concerned about HOA, because the reason for HOA is limiting the ability of what you will do with the property.
Yeah.
So typically, every time I look for a location for a client, I try to get one that is non-HOA.
Right. Right. Okay.
Makes sense.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Unless, we're talking of somebody that maybe already has a home and then wants to try to get it approved for that.
Right.
But the reason why we're getting so many calls is because it's hard to do. Where a lot of investors are calling us, listen, I bought this house that I started to do it. The HOA raised their hand. No. You cannot do senior living here. You cannot assisted living. So I think we're good with senior living, and that's an amazing strategy, I think, and it helps the seniors. The investors are looking for it. So what is the difference now between a senior living and an assisted living single family home?
The first thing that we need to understand is that there are certain levels of assisted living facility.
Okay.
There is not only one assisted living facility. So, assisted living facility require the ability of providing certain services to the living people there. So, whether the person need it or not is a completely different story.
Sure.
Because there are people I know a guy that I know very well for many years that lost his wife to cancer, and he decided to move to an assisted living facility. He still drives, he does his own medications, he's very independent, but he wants the security and the safety
and the community,
but more than anything else, because he's diabetic and has some other health issues, he wants to be sure that his kids are
at
peace in terms that he's been
if he needs something,
well taken.
He can get it.
Correct. So once you understand that, one of the things that ALF gives you is the ability to have these services if you need them. And obviously pricing for assisted living facilities typically based on the amount of services that you need. The more services that you need, the more you can charge to that patient.
Is that normally a la carte, or is it?
It is typically a la carte.
Okay.
Very much a la carte.
Okay.
It's not the same if you need prescription follow-up than if you need somebody to give you the medications. For example, if they're injectables, if you are a diabetic and you cannot do it, and somebody had to inject you, that needs to be a specific type of staff that has to have certain licenses. So depending on the amount of services that you have is the amount of money that you will pay for the services. I have clients that have assisted living facilities in the area that tenants pay $3,500, and next to them in a different room there is another patient that pays $5,500. The reason between those two rooms is not the size of the room, is the services that patient or that person receive on the facility.
Now, without the services, just on the plain rent, obviously, as it is just a base rent, it's going to be more on an assisted living than on a senior living. On a senior living.
Because there are things that you cannot get off of the process. For example, meals. You have to provide meals to them. So you have to have.
That's the word, assisted, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
You have to have a.
What's the minimum services that are required on a first level assisted living?
Typically, you need to provide, first of all, food.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and
snacks,
it's not
popcorn.
Yeah, and popcorn on the evening. No, and it's not simply food. It's food supervised by a trained person that have kitchen license, and also by a dietitian that puts together the menu for that facility.
Okay.
So that's the basic service. The second one is cleaning. Somebody has to come in and clean the rooms, clean the bathrooms, and so on. The third one is all of the typical things that you get on a hotel when you get into a room, which is soap, shampoo, towels, the washing of the towels.
That's what I was gonna say.
So-
Changing the sheets
Yes.
daily.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, for example, on the extra side, if you want somebody to do your laundry, which on the industry we call dry and fold, which is not actual laundry where you do dry cleaning and anything like that, but the regular pieces laundry. So basically, that person will do a load of washing and drying for you, fold it and put it into your drawers again. So again, those
It's
are
a full
the
service. Yeah.
those are the basic services. Then you have the medical or more specific services, which is medication supervision, medication replacement, and usually that's done through a external pharmacy that do the patients and receive the information. You have basic medical service. You have a doctor that comes to the facility X number of times per month and take care of basic needs of the patients.
Kind of like checkups.
Correct.
Like,
Correct. Typically, you
Does it have to be a nurse 24 hours also
in
living
most
at
of the
the place?
cases, you have to have nursing staff, not necessarily a fully graded nurse, but nursing attendants
Okay.
for certain services. But certain areas of nursing needs to be licensed, so usually it's a combination of both, licensed and not licensed, or less licensed. But again, many of these specialized services are concentrated by the place that they are going to or the condition that they are going to. And let me explain that in detail. You can have an ALS that will do basic stuff like we have talked already. But then you can have an ALS that do that, plus they do mental health, or they do Alzheimer's. Okay? And what happens is with those issues, you basically provide a secondary service that requires other things. For example,
On top of the basics.
on top of the basics.
It's a full service.
Yeah, for example, right now we are dealing with a client that is interested in opening one that will be
on a second lot next to his house. Yes.
correct. And
It's a doctor.
And that will be a very specific process because they are interested in doing mental health. And mental health, you have to have security. You have to be sure that you have control access, not only a key, but you have to be monitored by cameras. It has to have a secondary opening. It's very specific. And I have on my regular report on it, and you saw it, we have a list of all of the things that needs to happen. It's very specific to that. But obviously it's a very profitable industry because margins are a lot higher on that kind of service than any others. There are plenty of people that are unfortunately have developed Alzheimer's because of eating patterns and many other things that unfortunately cannot be taken care of at home unless the person lives 24/7 to take care of that person.
Assisted.
So it's very, very complicated.
So on assisted living, obviously, it's amazing to have those services. We have a lot of investors that may be interested on that. Is the assisted living ownership and operation or management, I should say, restricted only to medical professionals, or an investor can own that property and hire? Or does the owner itself has to have that license?
No, I'm not a doctor, and I am licensed to manage facilities.
Okay.
I've been licensed for 20-something years.
Do you have to get licensed?
Oh yeah, it's a specific
manage?
license. You have to do continuous education and everything else.
But the owner does?
No, you
Or
can own as an independent owner
And hire
but then
somebody like you to
hire
manage it.
somebody. Yeah,
Got
you
it.
have to hire a management company.
Yeah.
Or you have to get your qualifications and be a manager, which many people do. It's not-
Unless you're a doctor or
Correct,
something like that.
Correct. But
Okay.
still, if you are a doctor, you still have to go through the classes and
And
the
get
continuous
certified for that.
education to get certified.
Okay.
Because it's really not a medical issue, it's a operational issue.
Of what it's gonna take.
Correct.
Okay. What about, for example, therapy rooms? Is that something required? Is that something that is part of the services that could be provided as well?
Yeah. There is this misconception that rehabilitation centers are part of the ALF system, and they are not. Rehabilitation centers are licensed and completely different products than the ALF. The ALF is more specific to elderly with specific services. Now, understanding what I just said and the difference between that and a rehab center, that doesn't mean that you cannot have certain level of services in your unit that will allow, for example, for a physical therapy person to come in X number of times per week and help living persons deal with issues of stretching and certain things that are not necessarily medically ordained, but they are medically recommended, which is a big difference.
Yes. If not, they gotta get transportation to go to a place
Correct.
to do it.
Correct.
Yes.
And transportation in the past was one thing. Now it's different because there are so many services in all of the counties in Florida that offer transportation services that they can pick you up on the center, take you to the medical appointment, and bring you back. That there's no big issues with that. Back on the 90s, when I started doing ALFs, one of the things that I used to add to all of them was a limousine. Or a very nice van with very good access. And the reason why we do that is because we charge for also per trip, and that was a part of the income of the property. So, but that is something that in today's market you don't need to offer because it's easy to get it.
Yes,
and
yes,
be
there's
coordinated.
companies that do that.
Correct.
As far as the property itself, we got a lot of detail from you on the radius of the bathroom, the showers. Does it change when that property now needs to be approved for an assisted living, as far as the quarters of the
Yes.
of the
Yes.
senior?
Completely different set of requirements.
Okay.
The assisted living requirements are very much hospital type situations. You have to have certain amount of space for the aisles. It's not simply a 36 residential inch aisle. Have to be 42 or 48 inches depending on the situation. The radius
Outside
of
the room, you're talking, right?
Correct. Outside the rooms, the radius on the corners, the eating facilities, the type of kitchen. It could not be a residential kitchen. It has to be a commercial kitchen. There is plenty of requirements, and it's a significant amount of code for assisted living facilities that a regular residential unit will never have to do. So it's completely different. You need somebody with the correct type of training to design the facility and get it approved in order to be able to operate it.
So definitely an assisted living for a to retrofit a typical home for an ASL, it's almost
I have
impossible.
done hundreds of those, but
Okay.
it's not easy.
You gotta redo it completely.
It's
Basically.
not easy. It's not economically effective in most cases.
Yeah.
And in many of the cases, it's done because of the reality of what they want to do, nor what they need to do. But for example, a good alternative on that is one of the ones that we did in Winter Park. Winter Park is a very tight community. They have a lot of requirements and a lot of limitations. And in order for the city to approve, they want to approve the same building so it looks like the other buildings around and so on. So even though they have the money and they would love to do a nice modern building with higher capacity, they have to live with what they have to live. So it's
But that's a commercial facility. You're
Correct. It's because the ALF is a commercial facility.
Okay.
Whether you do it in a residence or not, it become a commercial facility, and you have to do a variance for the zoning, which people sometimes do not understand, and but why? Well, it's part of the code. You have to do a variance, which will allow to do it pretty much on any place as long as you are not violating the code or asking for things that are out of the context of
and the variance would be to do what on the zoning? To change it to what?
To change it to a level that will allow the county to let you operate an ALF, which varies between counties and jurisdiction. For example, City of Orlando may have a different rationale than Orange County, even though City of Orlando is in Orange County.
And what are the minimum requires as far as the land itself that you would need for an ASL?
That is almost impossible to answer, and let me tell you why. If you are going to do an ALF of 10 units versus 100 units, the formula change completely.
Of course.
And obviously, the zoning and the variance that you're going to be doing will take a lot to do with that. Typically, an ALF is more profitable when you are talking about 30 rooms and over. There is kind of an unwritten rule that if you want to do a profitable ALF facility, you need to be on the 30 or more rooms to make it very effective. On my personal opinion, the sweet spot is 100 rooms. 100 rooms give you enough rooms to be able to segment your services. There is one unit here in Seminole County on State Road 46 that was very well designed by an architect of the 80s that have 8 wings and 120 units. So they have a wing for assisted living, general, they have a wing for needed, they have a wing for mental, they have a wing for Alzheimer's, and so on. So they can tailor their staffing and their formula to that and make it very profitable, because then you share the pharmacy, you share the meals, you share a lot of things that are common to everybody. So one of the things that I do very often is when people comes to me and said, we want to open a assisted living facility, one of the things that we offer them is let's do a analysis and a projected report of what you can do there that will make sense. I remember when that facility that I'm talking about in State Road 46 in Sanford or Heathrow, when that was open, it cost about $750,000 to open it. We're talking early 80s. On 2014, 2016, it was sold. It changed ownership. $17 million. 5 or 6 years later, changed ownership again and went to $24 million.
And how many units was that?
120.
Wow.
So what I'm saying is, this is a very good business. But you have to be sure that you do it right, that you get the correct advice, that you get the correct numbers, that you get the correct information to, you can basically finance anything in this market.
Of course.
It's just, whatever you are financing, you need to be sure that will be profitable for you in terms of operations. So that's what I try to steer my clients to, or the people that comes to me, because I want to be sure that they understand that those differences in size, in design, and in operation will break you or make you in terms of monies and
No, of course, you're talking about obviously a commercial project. What about for investors that may have a land, let's say, but it's residential, and they want us to design a single family of 6 units, for example.
Yeah,
and they want to do it for assisted living.
Yeah, those are doable. They are profitable. They are very profitable, but they require a lot more involvement of managing. So one of the things that
it might be maybe for somebody that already has several,
correct,
and can share already the manager.
Yeah, because for example, as long as you are within a reasonable radius of miles, a person can operate 2 or 3 of those, up to 3 facilities.
Yeah, as that's what I had an investor that has 3 already. And for something like that, you mentioned to me, for example, about parking. Let's say if we did something with 6 rooms, what's the minimum parking for assisted living?
It's a very strange combination of calculations. But,
I see.
But because, for example,
it's an algorithm. It's not 2 per or 1 per.
Correct. It's a lot more complicated than that.
Okay.
But for example, in most let's take the 4-unit number, which is a very common type of situation. If you are doing elderly living, they ask you 4 units. If you are doing ALF in 4 units, they ask you 1 unit. So again, it depends on what you are doing and how you are licensed in it.
And what county?
And what county or city, county or municipality. Because remember that sometimes the property is on a municipality, sometimes it is in a county. Now, I have situations where I have been able to change it from a city to a county to make it doing an annexation.
That's another podcast.
To make it more fixed.
How to take out a lot that it's city and change it to the county.
Correct.
Or backwards. I know we tried to do that on one that the city had a restriction that nothing could be built because of the size of the lot, and we actually had to fight it to take the lot out and put it on the county. And then you could build. It's you need to unincorporate it, basically.
Correct. Now, also you have to understand, and this is important because people do not realize that this happens, that the Department of Health do inspections and is the responsible entity for assisted living facility.
Not for senior.
Not for seniors.
For assisted.
For assisted living facility.
I could understand that because you have medicine, you have
correct.
medical care.
So the set of requirements from the point of view of the Department of Health versus senior housing is completely different. So that's what now you can understand why an ALF of 6 beds is not as good of a proposition than is probably 4 or 6 or even 8 senior housing because of the nature of what you need to do for ALF, no matter how many units you have. So it's that kind of
with the number of units, the juice may not worth the squeeze.
That is correct.
Yeah, got it. So, but there is a lot of people interested on that,
and it's a very fast, steady, growing industry.
Yes.
And it will be for the next 20 years.
That for sure. I think though, definitely being a custom builders, I think it would be a lot easier to design it how you say it needs to be, as opposed to retrofit an old house.
Yeah.
Because if you're telling me about, the showers, you got to redo the whole house.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the kitchen. You said the kitchen has to be different. It has to be a commercial kitchen. Where the seniors cook.
Or where where they need to cook for them.
So they never cook. They don't have a kitchen.
They don't have a kitchen.
Really?
Which on senior housing they have a kitchenette on the room.
Okay.
Typically we do it with 2 burners, and typically are in virgin. So there are no risk of fire and all kind of stuff. But
a little fridge, little microwave.
Yeah.
So a little kitchenette in one corner.
Kitchenette. You call it a pantry. But on ALF, you need to have a full commercial kitchen, hood and everything.
You need the kitchenette, and for them?
No, for the
assisted living?
For the senior housing, you just need the kitchenette. For the assisted living, you need to have a kitchen, and you cannot have stoves on the rooms or anything like that.
And so that kitchen cannot be accessible to them?
Correct. They only get the food out of that kitchen, but they cannot go in and cook on it.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And unless they, well, you still have to have it even if the operator brings food from outside.
Yeah, that
You
has
still
nothing
have
to
to
do
have it.
with the operation. It has to do with the requirements.
And when you say a commercial kitchen, what do you mean exactly?
Yeah, you have to have a exhaust hood.
Mm-hmm.
You know that most of our hood at
Like a
homes,
restaurant.
it's correct. It's a simple hood that takes the air and have filters.
Mm-hmm.
The commercial one has an outside and it has an exhaust, and you have to calculate the what they call the ratios between what the air that goes out and the air that comes in.
Mm-hmm.
So you balance the house, and there is no issues with temperature and so on. So every kitchen, every commercial kitchen has a lot of requirements. You have to have certain fire extinguishing system on the hood. The refrigerator has to be a sub-zero refrigerator instead of a regular refrigerator.
It has to be sub-zero.
Yeah, yeah,
Really?
yeah.
That I didn't know.
And it has to have certain type of doors.
I learned
and so
something
on.
today.
So, but again, because it's a commercial kitchen, it's not a residential kitchen. But all of those things are things that you get through the process of analyzing the final product that you are going to be getting.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay. So on the what would you say to an investor that wants to get into that? Maybe they already have two or three. They want to build one. I guess the first step is really, besides obviously having the money, etc., it's finding the land to do it. Correct?
Yeah, and let me address something that you just mentioned casually there, but it's very important. And we will talk about what you asked me for, but the underlining of what I want to raise is that there is plenty of money out there for financing of these kind of facilities, but also there is a lot of federal programs that allows you to get funding for these kind of facilities. Right now, as you know, we are licensed also in New York. We are doing two churches in New York are doing senior housing facilities on their properties. These are older churches that are dying in terms of membership, but they have large facilities. So we are taking all of those old classrooms, cleaning all of that completely, and rebuilding as units, very nice units, and people will be living there, and we will have a dining room area. They will have the commercial kitchen and everything else. So, and most of it will be done with federal funds. So that is available out there. So if
In New York, what about here?
same
In Florida?
different programs, but it's available. So if you are a pastor and your congregation is declining because of age and many other things, call us because we can help you develop that, and it will be something that will allow the church to continue in the
Repurpose some
future.
of the space that they already have
Correct.
into assisted living.
Yeah.
Is it more favorable because it's a church, or it just happens to be a good use for the space?
It's one of those things that just happens to be a good match.
Oh, okay, got it.
Now, it also have a component of ministry.
That's another podcast.
Which
that
is
we need
another
to have.
podcast, but it's very important because
Yes.
those churches can give, by means of their membership, an additional care issue to the people that live there, that in most cases are people that are alone and do not have a family
course.
or whatever. Church can be part of that community of faith, bringing the kids and everything else. So it's a very interesting proposal.
Nothing more beautiful than having those seniors with assisted living there, and also access to ministry and a community of faith. Absolutely. This is amazing information, by the way, guys. I know this is taking long, but I don't have Rafi here every day. Last thing. I think we've talked about what is needed, what are the restrictions, what are the requirements, financing, not so much on the construction, but on the payments for the seniors. I've heard that in senior living, not assisted yet, but on a senior living, there's also programs that the insurances pay for the rental of those seniors.
Yes.
That's a requirement, not a requirement, but something that the senior itself would need to bring, correct?
Yeah, it's not something that you can provide, but you will accept if they have it.
If they have it. And that's what kind of insurance is that?
It's back on the early 90s, a retirement, they used to call it retirement policy, was put in place that allows you to move to a senior facility when you are prone to do it.
Yes.
And they pay you that monthly rent under those policies. There are not many of them, but there are still a lot of them around.
Okay. Now, on assisted living, I know that that's a lot more common.
Yeah, because Medicare covers assisted living facilities.
Not senior.
Not senior, assisted
Assisted living, the Medicare will cover
Yes,
you.
yes.
What is the amount? It depends on the person,
It
depends on the coverage.
state,
Okay.
it depends on the jurisdiction and so on. Here in Florida, there are certain programs that pay you $1,800, which is very low. That's why you have a lot of low quality. They call it level entry. I personally call it low quality facilities.
I've seen them when we were shopping
Yeah.
for my mom and my mother-in-law. Yes.
And for me, they should not even exist.
I
That's
know
another
some
story.
places are horrible. Yes.
But then you have, the typical renter on an ALF and don't paying for somewhere between $4,000 and
Oh, yes.
and $6,000. That's
All day long.
That's an issue of that.
$4,000 to $6,000 a month for that room for that senior.
And obviously, you have to understand, and I not only look old, I am old. I am 70 years old, and
You're just starting, man. You got at least
I know.
another 40 at
Yeah.
least.
But you will get there soon.
I will.
So what
I
I'm
will.
saying is,
I don't know about
is
soon, but yeah.
that, what I'm saying is that people needs to plan for that.
Yes.
Because it's the reality of life. It's what will happen.
Of course.
And unfortunately, many generations did not plan for that. So it's a very important service for the community because it's very much needed.
Absolutely. Rafi, I think that you owe us probably like 3 podcasts that we have mentioned on different things. He's going to definitely be back. But if you want more information, and we will probably be doing a seminar in person about this because we have so many people that are calling us about how to design, how to build, how to find the lot and build to give this amazing service for seniors. And like you said, Texas, Florida, Arizona, there's so many states where this is so much needed. There's such a shortage, so much that I've seen actually, how can I say, properties that are giving the senior or being advertised as senior that at all do not comply to what you're telling me.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they're licensed or not, or if they're doing it or not, or what are they doing, but obviously we need to do things right. And having, a custom builder, I think it was going to help you a lot because you can truly design, because we're thinking, we have this model, somebody may have already a lot that it allows for more, that it allows for different things. So it's amazing. So Rafi, thank you very much for all the information. You owe me at least 2 more podcasts. We'll be talking. And guys, thank you very much for listening to Freedom Builders podcast and the difference between senior living and assisted living. Talk to you soon.